There comes a moment when you stop texting her, you stop calling, you stop chasing, and suddenly her silence starts to echo louder than anything you've ever heard. At first, you think she's probably relieved that maybe she didn't care at all. But give it time, because when a man walks away and doesn't look back, something primal shifts inside a woman. It's in your absence that she begins to feel the truth. The safety of your voice is gone. The man who once poured energy into her has vanished. And now she's left with one terrifying question: did he mean more to me than I admitted to myself? You see, women don't always process things in the moment. They're emotional processors, slow-burning realizers. She might act like nothing bothers her at first. She might post pictures, party, laugh with friends, but at night, when the world is silent and the mask comes off, that's when your absence starts to sting. That's when she starts replaying every moment, your words, your energy, your presence, and this is where most men fail. They come back too soon. They break their silence out of fear, not strength, but when you stay grounded, when you respect your space, something powerful happens. Because when a woman genuinely feels you, not just likes you, but feels your masculine energy, your silence becomes her mirror, and eventually she will do something you never expected. Let's talk about it. When a woman realizes you're not chasing anymore, her mind immediately goes back to the last few words you spoke. Not just the surface level stuff, but the emotional energy underneath it. Was he angry, cold, confident, calm? Your last conversation becomes a loop in her head, and depending on how grounded you were, it either calms her or haunts her. Men often think women forget easily. They don't, especially not when they've been emotionally invested. She may pretend she's moved on, she may even date someone else, but if you left a mark, if your last interaction showed poise, purpose, and dignity, she replays that moment like a scene from a movie, over and over. That moment becomes symbolic. It's how she defines you now. Were you begging and needy, or were you composed and mysterious? That contrast decides what she does next. Women are deeply emotional creatures. Your tone, your energy, your presence, it lingers. She might start asking mutual friends about you. She might even revisit your texts, your voice notes, and your pictures together, not because she's sentimental, but because your silence has awakened a curiosity, and that curiosity is powerful. But here's the key: you don't chase, you don't interrupt the process. You let her mind work, let her emotions rise. Because if she felt safe with you, if she tasted your masculine calm, she'll begin to crave the emotional security you once provided, and all you did was stop reaching out. When you stop contacting her and she begins to feel that quiet void you left behind, her first instinct, if she still feels something for you, is not always to reach out softly. No, a lot of women will first try to trigger you, not because they hate you, but because they want to feel your presence again, any form of it. They want to know, do I still matter to him? And the easiest way to find out? Stir your emotions. So suddenly she posts something that feels a little too personal online. A cryptic quote, a flirty picture, a throwback to the time you both shared a memory, and she knows you'll see it. It's not accidental, it's calculated. She's not trying to rekindle yet. She's trying to provoke. She wants to see if you'll bite. Will you comment? Will you slide into her DMs again? Will you lose your composure and reach out just to ask, what's that about? Because here's the thing. A woman knows that if she can control your emotional reaction, she still has a piece of you, and that's her safety net. She's not sure if she wants you back, but she definitely doesn't want to feel like she's the only one still feeling something. So she stirs the pot. This is where your power as a man is tested. Can you resist the bait? Can you recognize that her attempts to provoke are not signs of indifference, but signs of conflict inside her? She's torn. She's wrestling with regret, desire, pride, and confusion all at once. And rather than saying, I miss you, she'll post a picture that says, I don't need you. But deep down, she's hoping you'll disagree. But if you stay centered, if you remain unbothered, something inside her begins to unravel. Because now her strategy isn't working. You're not chasing. You're not reacting. You're not falling for the performance. And that shakes her. Because real men don't flinch at digital noise. They move in silence. And that silence, It's deafening to a woman who once felt emotionally in control of you. She may even escalate it. Maybe she texts you something odd or even rude, just to poke, just to see if the man she knew is still available to play emotional games. But the moment you respond, the game resets. She wins. You lose. The strength is in your stillness. It's in your ability to read her emotional attempts, not as attacks, but as confessions in disguise. She's not saying, "I'm over you." She's saying, "I miss the version of me that mattered to you." And your silence, your refusal to be moved, makes her question why she ever let you go. That's when the power shifts. Not through anger, not through words, but through your self-control. When you go silent, one of the first defense mechanisms a woman may turn to is replacement. And not necessarily because she's moved on, but because she wants to feel like she can. She wants to convince herself and everyone watching that she's fine, that she's thriving, that your absence means absolutely nothing. But let me tell you something real. The moment she tries to replace you too quickly, that's already proof that she hasn't processed the loss. See, women don't just jump from one man to another with no emotional residue. When a man had impact, when a man left an imprint, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, he becomes very hard to shake off. So even if she lines up a date or entertains another guy, there's a quiet voice in her mind that keeps whispering, but it's not the same. She may go out, laugh, flirt, and take pictures with someone new, but deep down it's all a performance, a mask, a shield against the echo of your absence. Because the truth is, when a woman tries to replace a man without healing, she ends up comparing, not connecting. She compares how he talks to her versus how you used to make her feel. She compares how he touches her arm to how you used to calm her with just a look. And worst of all, she begins to realize that what she's chasing now is not love, it's distraction. Distraction from the man who once gave her presence, patience, and passion. You don't need to say a word, because while she's out there trying to fill the space you once occupied, that space only becomes more obvious to her. It starts to ache, because your silence didn't come from pettiness, it came from peace, and peace always wins in the long run. Now here's the key. Most men panic when they see her with someone new. They get reactive. They reach out. They try to prove they're better, stronger, more desirable. But that's the trap. That's exactly what she needs. Emotional validation that she still holds power. But when you don't react, when you remain grounded, detached, and still focused on yourself, she starts to realize something. He's not coming back and no one's filling his place. That's when it hits her. The man I tried to replace was never just about the attention. He was about energy, presence, masculine calm, and no man I'm talking to now gives me that. So she may try to replace you, but eventually she'll discover that what she lost wasn't just a man, it was the feeling of being emotionally safe. And that feeling doesn't come around often. So stay grounded. Don't flinch, because when she realizes no one makes her feel the way you did, that's when the regret sets in. And it all began the moment you stopped reaching out. When you stop contacting her, something strange begins to happen. At first, she might feel relieved. Maybe she even thought she wanted the distance. But the silence grows, the stillness deepens, and suddenly she starts asking herself, what's he doing now? That one innocent question becomes a spark, a curiosity, a slow-building obsession, because now you're not available, you're not explaining, you're not updating her, and that is what rattles her. You see, women are intuitive by nature, and when they can't read you anymore, can't feel your emotional pulse, it drives them inward. The mind begins to wander. What if you've moved on? What if you're doing better without her? What if you're with someone who now enjoys the laughter, the texts, the quiet emotional intimacy she used to have? These thoughts don't hit all at once. They creep in, subtle, quiet, but consistent, like waves. And remember this, when a man goes silent without bitterness, it stirs the feminine imagination. You're not angry, you're not begging, you're just gone. And that, to a woman who once had your full emotional availability, is more confronting than 1,000 arguments. She starts stalking your stories, checking if you're online, asking mutual friends subtle questions. But she won't make it obvious. She'll act like she's just curious. But deep down, she wants to know, how are you doing this without me? Because now you've become a mystery again. And mystery is magnetic. Every time you post something with confidence, growth, or peace, not to show off but just to be, she feels it. And it bruises her pride a little, because there was a time she thought you needed her. Now she's the one sitting alone, wondering if she ever really knew your worth. This is why it's so important not to break your silence with small talk or emotional weakness. Because of that curiosity she feels, that wondering, that emotional confusion, that's the space where real desire is reborn, not from pressure, not from persuasion, but from presence. Your absence becomes presence in her mind. But only if you hold the line, because a man who can live without her, even though he once loved her, is a man she can't stop thinking about. He becomes a symbol of strength, growth, and mystery, and she'll replay the memories, not to punish herself, but to search for answers, to look for the moment when you emotionally detached, to figure out where it shifted. That mental investigation becomes exhausting for her, and that exhaustion turns into longing. So don't post to impress her. Don't show off. Just keep building your life. Keep becoming the man who doesn't need to announce his value, because he knows it. And the more peace you carry, the more she wonders how she lost someone so grounded. Curiosity is the seed of attraction, and the man who gives no updates often becomes the one she can't stop thinking about. When you stop reaching out, she might act like she's unbothered. She might stay quiet, but deep inside, something very real is happening. She starts romanticizing the best parts of your connection. And here's the thing, it's not even a choice, it's a natural psychological response. You see, when people lose something they didn't fully appreciate, their minds tend to polish the memories. They edit out the frustration, the arguments, the confusion, and start replaying the laughter, the intimacy, the feeling of being emotionally seen. And this is the part most men never understand. While you're sitting there trying to stay silent, maybe even doubting yourself, she's remembering the way you used to look at her like she was the only woman in the world. She's remembering that one night you both stayed up talking about your dreams. She's remembering how safe she felt resting her head on your chest, how it felt to hear your voice late at night, calm, deep, grounded. But here's the twist. She may have overlooked all of this when she had you. Maybe she took it for granted. Maybe she pushed you away, thinking you'd always come back. But when your presence is gone long enough, the emotional highlight reel starts playing in her mind over and over, and she doesn't remember the full reality. She remembers the best version of you. That's what makes your silence so powerful, because now she's not just missing you, she's missing the moments she didn't appreciate enough. And that creates guilt. Guilt turns into nostalgia. Nostalgia turns into emotional craving. Suddenly she can't listen to that one song without thinking of you. She can't pass that restaurant without remembering your laugh. She starts wondering if she made a mistake. And the longer you remain calm and grounded in your silence, the more those romanticized memories grow. But if you break the silence too early, you disrupt the process. You snap her out of it. You give her something real to analyze. And when emotions are still high, reality often disappoints. That's why your job is not to chase, explain, or remind her of what she had. Life and memory will do it for you. And trust me, it does it in HD. When you walk away with dignity and you stay silent from a place of self-respect, you allow space for her emotions to mature. And a mature emotional realization is far more powerful than any text you could send. So let her miss you. Let her romanticize the good moments. Because once a woman starts doing that, she's not thinking logically, she's feeling deeply. And that's when she realizes you weren't just a phase, you were peaceful, you were present, you were home, and now you're gone. Eventually, after all the silence, all the emotional processing, all the romanticizing, she'll crack. Not in a dramatic way, not with some grand confession. No, most women will test the waters in the quietest, most subtle ways possible. A reaction to your story. A "Hey stranger" text. A random meme she thinks is funny. Something that looks casual on the surface, but underneath it, it's a vulnerability test. She's checking. Is he still emotionally available? Can I still access him? And this is the moment most men completely sabotage everything. Because they're so hungry for that connection again, they respond immediately. They pour their heart out. They say, "I've missed you too." And just like that, the power shifts. The mystery dies. And the attraction, it fades quietly. Because she didn't want the old you. She wanted to know if the new grounded version of you was real. So when she reaches out, you need to understand what she's really doing. She's not just saying hi. She's watching how you respond. Do you sound the same? Do you seem eager? Do you drop everything the moment she gives you a drop of attention? Or do you remain composed, kind, but calm? warm but not desperate, your response is a mirror. It shows her how much you've grown. And if you respond with strength, emotional calm, purpose, and direction, she begins to see you differently. Now you're not the man who used to chase her. You're the man who respects his own space, who doesn't over-explain, who responds like someone who's been healing, growing, living. And that right there, that's attractive. That's magnetic. Because women are drawn to men who lead with emotional certainty, who doesn't flinch at a pretty face or an old memory, who can feel the pull and still choose peace over impulse. Sometimes she might test the waters more than once. A voice note here, a like on an old picture, even a deep question that seems innocent. Do you still think about me? But remember, the test isn't the question. The test is your frame. It's who you are when you respond. And if she sees that you haven't lost yourself, that you're not begging to rewind the past, that your life is still moving forward with or without her, that's when her respect returns. And respect is the root of real feminine desire. Because the truth is, it's not your message that pulls her back. It's your presence, your groundedness, your ability to hold space, even in silence. That's what she's really searching for. A man who doesn't break when tested. A man who leads with quiet strength. A man who doesn't need to chase because he knows exactly who he is. Let her test the waters. But don't jump in. Stand at the shore. Let her swim toward you. And when she does, you'll know. So let me ask you this. Do you really think a woman forgets a man who walked away with calm in his spirit and power in his silence? No. She doesn't forget him. She remembers him.